like to welcome you to the November 11th meeting of the Jefferson County Board of Education. Prior to this meeting, the board conducted a work session to discuss capacity, enrollment, demographics, and population, the district facilities plan, long-term planning, and a proposed project in Norton Commons. Would like to take this opportunity. It is Veterans Day, so we want to thank the men and women from all the services that have made us a safe place and have protected the United States. So at this time, could we have a traditional moment of silence, please? Thank you. If you will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board Member Hathaway will read our vision statement tonight.
Our vision statement: all JCPS students graduate prepared to reach their full potential and contribute to our society throughout life.
Thank you very much. The next order on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. If someone could make a motion to approve the minutes. Ms. Westland, second by Ms. Haddad. All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. There are no recognitions this evening. We will move to the consent calendar and superintendent's report, starting with Dr. Hargens and the superintendent's report. Dr. Hargens.
Thank you, Chair Porter. Members of the board, it is my pleasure to call to your attention a few items of special interest. As today is Veterans Day, I would like to recognize also the thousands of veterans who serve our country. At JCPS, we are fortunate to have dozens of veterans who are continuing to serve our community as employees within our system. Congratulations to DuPont Manual and Louisville Male High Schools and the Brown School as one of Kentucky's top 10 schools with the highest college and career ready rates, and to Western High School as one of Kentucky's top 10 schools with the highest 1 year's growth in college and career readiness. I would like to recognize the India Community Foundation of Louisville. I was invited to attend the Diwali festival yesterday as the chief guest. It was such an honor and was presented with this recognition. The Indian community has approximately 15,000 members in the metro Louisville area. We have hundreds of our students who are from this community, and the people featured on the slide are actually our teachers. So we're very proud of their work. The 15th District PTA and Jefferson County Public Schools, in conjunction with WAVE TV, WAMZ-FM, and WHAS-AM, began the Wear It Forward Coats for Kids drive on November 4th. Wear It Forward began when WAVE TV anchor Dawn G. saw the need of our students and asked how she could help. We are primarily in need of new and gently used coats, but are also accepting sweatshirts, gloves, mittens, sweaters, and pants in all sizes, both child and adult. And the 15th District's PTA President, Heather Wampler, is here. We want to recognize her and thank the 15th District PTA for all of your hard work. The Elementary Showcase of Schools will be held this Saturday, November 16th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Kentucky International Convention Center. The application period for elementary schools is Monday, November 18th through Friday, January 10th. The JCPS Showcase offers detailed information for parents and students who are trying to make a decision about schools. Key JCPS employees will be available to answer questions about the application process, transportation, English as a second language, and the ECE program for special needs students. JCPS will kick off its School of Innovation Design Competition on Tuesday, November 12th, 10 a.m. at Nucleus Innovation Park Lobby at 201 East Jefferson Street. The community-wide contest will identify and develop innovative ideas for the creation of the next JCPS school. The process will provide the best innovators with support needed to bring their new vision of teaching and learning to life as early as the 2015-2016 school year. And I would like to point out, in addition to the legislative priorities, we have added, thanks to board member feedback, the following sentence in provide adequate funding. JCPS also supports legislation to increase state funding for kindergarten gradually over a number of years from half day to full day. So that's addition to providing adequate funding, since we only get funded for half day kindergarten. Chair Porter, at this time, I recommend the consent calendar for the board's consideration.
Thank you, Dr. Harkins. Before I ask comments about the consent calendar, we have 5 tie bids this evening. Ms. Haddad?
Okay. Item number 16 on bid ID 6826 for electrical supplies and lighting, line item. And the bid goes to AM Electric. These are for items 48 and 50 on bid ID 6821 for best body parts and accessories. One draw for 2 items. And the bid goes to American Bus and Accessories. And the next item is item 67 on bid ID 6826 for electrical supplies and lighting. Stuck in there. And the award goes to AM Electric. Item 71 on bid ID 6826 for electrical supplies and lighting. And the bid is awarded to AM Electric. Item 98 on bid ID 6826 for electrical supplies and lighting. Well, and the bid is awarded to Westco Distribution.
Thank you, Ms. Haddad. I will ask if there are any items to be pulled down from the consent calendar, and then we have a speaker tonight on one of the items on the agenda. So are there any items to be pulled down from the consent calendar? Mr. Brady?
Yes, item O, item Q, and item R.
Other items to be pulled down? Okay, thank you. Our speaker on an agenda item is Mr. Brent McKim. Mr. McKim, if you would join us, please. You have 3 minutes for your presentation. You've heard this before. At the end of 2.5 minutes, you will hear a bell, and at the end of 3 minutes, you will hear the bell twice. I think that's the way it works. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Chair Porter, and thank you to the school board members and to the superintendent for the opportunity to address you. I'm Brent McKim, President of the Jefferson County Teachers Association, and I just wanted to make a few brief comments regarding the Jefferson County Public Schools draft legislative priorities for 2014. Primarily, I wanted to say that first of all, we are very appreciative of the collaborative approach that Mr. Cottle, the district's legislative agent, always takes with JCTA. He's very good about communicating with us ahead of time, and we very much appreciate that. And I wanted to communicate also that we are very supportive of all the legislative priorities that the district has. And I think that that is typical and not atypical. I know some people probably think the association and the district are not on the same page, but I can tell you when you're from Jefferson County and you have the challenges that we face, and we're sort of the one size that doesn't fit all, and we go to Frankfurt, I would say at least 98% of the time, but really probably more than that, we are exactly on the same page and working together, and this is, I think, indicative of that, because we really are looking out for the interests of the Jefferson County Public Schools and the students we serve. I want to particularly say that we're very excited about the fourth item, the use of District of Innovation frameworks to develop and implement innovative assessment and accountability models. We look forward to working with the district on this legislation. We'd love to expand somewhat the District of Innovation concept to include some flexibility on assessments, so that if we have an innovative program, we can also have innovative assessments that really match and fit the program, because the assessments are very important and they have to match, otherwise you may not be pulling in the same direction. And finally, I just wanted to comment, the district's legislative agent shared with us the Jefferson County Legislative Priority Scorecard, and I guess he indicated in green the things that he felt like were successful. And my comment is just that we felt like there probably should have been more green on there than the green that is on there. For example, it was not easy, but together we were able to get the governor to build in to his budget a $15 million increase in preschool funding. That's a significant success, and I think that's worth noting. And also in terms of the District of Innovation support and resources, I think we have been very successful, and as you know, we've been approved and are receiving support for our work in that regard. So we think, if anything, it's a little more green than even indicates on here. So on behalf of the JCTA, we look forward to working with you on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McKim, for being here tonight. We appreciate your comments. We will start with the items that Mr. Brady has pulled down, and I do want to say that under item J, the approval of professional services contracts, the contract for the Street Academy for the Urban League, I will not be able to vote on that, so we will have to pull that down as well, but I don't have any comments other than that. So starting with Mr. Brady, the first item that you requested was item O, which is the acceptance of funding from the Jefferson County Public Education Foundation.
I request that this item be pulled down and voted on separately, because this deals with funding that comes from Norton Healthcare, who is my employer, and I don't want to vote on this as it could seem to be a conflict of interest. That being said, I do want to say that I believe Norton Healthcare is an important partner of JCPS, so I will put that out there in addition.
Okay, thank you. The next item you pulled down was item Q, the approval of fiscal year 2013 technology activity report.
And actually, in regards to this particular item, it's more of a comment. I had some questions about this earlier, and I sent it to our IT department and operations staff, and they were able to answer my questions in regards to this. But I found the interesting thing about this is that this is, in my view, a very incomplete and inaccurate report. And I understand that this comes from the Department of Education, but it does not give us a full picture of what's being spent on how and where those funds are going to. And a couple of things I just want to draw to at least the public's attention on this particular item is that, that we are getting some funds from KDE in regards to technology, but it's very, very, very small in comparison to the funds that we spend within the district. And I think one of the more glaring examples of that is that we are getting some funding for buying desktop computers and some a little bit for laptops, but we were actually receiving zero funding for buying tablets. And it isn't like tablet is a brand new form factor for computers. So it seems I would like to see from the Department of Education a little bit more of an upgrade and forward thinking in regards to how we fund technology, because it's something that's vitally important to the future and education of our kids. In addition to that, and just one item as an example to kind of pull out, and we're talking about inaccuracies here, but there was an item in there that was talking about laser toner ink, and it had a quantity of 48. next to it, and then it had a price of $10,800 roughly. And if you do the math on that, that means a toner cartridge would cost $225, and I'm pretty sure toner cartridges for laser printers don't cost that much. And it turns out that 48 really represents 48 different schools. So we're talking about maybe 800, 900 cartridges within that. So that's the type of inaccuracy that this report, I think, if we're going to go through the motions because the state requires that, that's one thing, but it does seem to be a bit of busybody work if it's really not meaningful. So it's just something that, from my own standpoint of seeing it as more of an inefficiency and busybody work from our standpoint, something I'd, going forward. I know there's lots of reports that are like this, but this is a very glaring example of that.
Okay, thank you. The next item you pulled down was item R, the approval of a memorandum of agreement with the YMCA of Greater Louisville for Child Care Enrichment Program.
And I wanted to comment on this particular program, not only as a board member, but as a client, so to speak. My kids use the CEP program from the Y, and I just want to be able to talk from a parental point of view here, that it's a vital, important program that I know as my wife and I being a dual income household, it's really important for us to be able to have that after and before school program there, for us to be able to know that our kids are safe, they're in a good environment. They're much too young to go home, and when I was younger, I was a latchkey kid at a very young age because there was no type of program for this where I grew up. And it's very gratifying and great to be able to see this program within Jefferson County. That being said, I do want to, if we could at some point, address an issue that I would like to see done differently with this program, and that's in regards to maybe throughout the school year, but specifically regarding our summer program, our summer CEP program. And it's not that the Y isn't doing anything bad or anything along those lines. They're doing a great job. But I think it's an opportunity to be able for us to provide some more academic type of instruction that doesn't appear to be there in that program. And it's an opportunity for us to address some gaps and also to deal with retention issues that happen for our students during the summer. They're already in a school environment, they're already in a learning environment, and I think that from some of our young kids, especially transitioning from that program, from going to school where they see it as a place of learning and they're in a curriculum, there are certain routines, and then suddenly they go into the same facility sometimes, and it's, okay, well, we're going to go do this, and we're not going to have this type of regimented schedule. And I'm not saying it has to be that, but it would be very helpful, I think, from a student achievement standpoint to have some type of academic supports that go along with this program. I don't know exactly how to achieve that or how you would balance that from a funding standpoint. I've talked to the president of the YMCA about this, and he understands that issue exists, but again, just something I want to be able to put out there and something that should be discussed and see if we can use this great existing program to further our students who take advantage of it.
Okay, thank you. Any comments, Mr. Hadaway?
I haven't heard that before, Mr. Brady, and I think it's an excellent idea. We're looking for good opportunities. I'm a former CEP staffer myself, so I remember really struggling sometimes to fill the hours with programs and everything. If we can have an academic input, that's a great opportunity. So I applaud you for catching that.
Any other comments? Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar with the following exceptions? Under item J, the specific contract for the Louisville Urban League Street Academy, and item O, which is the acceptance of funding from the Jefferson County Public Education Foundation. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar? Mr. Hadaway, second. Ms. Haddad, all those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Is there a motion to accept the professional service contract from the Louisville Urban League Street Academy? Mr. Jones, second. Pie, I was thinking pie. And sorry. And second, Ms. Haddad, all those in favor? The motion is 6 in favor, and I abstain from that particular motion. No?
One in, not 6 in favor.
I'm sorry.
I'm not voting for the street academy. I'm voting against it.
Okay, so there's 5 for the street academy. Those opposed to the street academy, Mr. Brady is opposed, and Porter abstains. Thank you. Okay, is there a motion for the acceptance of the funding from the Jefferson County Public Education Foundation? Ms. Westland, is there a second? Mr. Jones, all those in favor? 6 in favor, and Mr. Brady abstains. Thank you. Moving on from the consent calendar, we move down to action items. And our action item is the approval of the resolution in support of increased funding for Kentucky school districts, and Dr. Harkins has that particular item. Dr. Harkins.
Thank you, Chair Porter. And I'd like to read the resolution in support of increased funding for Kentucky school districts. Whereas an excellent public school system is vital to the quality of life in the Commonwealth of Kentucky and fundamental to preserving a strong democratic society both now and in the future. Whereas upon passage of Senate Bill 1, now called Unbridled Learning, the members of the Kentucky General Assembly and Governor Steve Beshear committed that Kentucky students would have the tools they need to compete in a global society. And whereas in Jefferson County Public Schools, the lack of funding has forced us to limit the support for specific interventions for all schools and required us to provide funding only to our most challenged schools and has delayed our expansion of early childhood. And whereas the unfunded mandates continued to increase, putting additional stress and responsibilities on teachers and administrators working to ensure that students continue on their path to becoming college and career ready. Whereas the Kentucky General Assembly and Governor Steve Beshear made a commitment to Kentucky students to fully fund the mandates of unbridled learning, and the lack of funding puts at risk the law's goals and jeopardizes the future success of our students. Whereas the lack of adequate funding has caused the Jefferson County Public School District and districts across the Commonwealth to make significant cuts to their budgets, including both personnel and programs, and compelled school boards to increase property taxes so their districts can continue to operate and serve the students who are the future of the Commonwealth. And whereas school districts are doing more with less, demonstrated by Education Week's Quality Counts report, which placed Kentucky among the top 10 states overall in education policy and performance, but at the same time gave Kentucky a grade of F in the spending category. Now, therefore, we, the members of the Jefferson County Board of Education, do challenge the members of the Kentucky General Assembly and Governor Steve Beshear to take action, including raising revenues if necessary, to put the students of the Commonwealth of Kentucky first, investing in their future and fully funding their educational needs so that Kentucky's public education system can ensure that they are college and career ready. In witness whereof, we have set our hands and caused the seal of the Board of Education of Jefferson County, Kentucky to be affixed the 11th day of November 2013. So we are, I'm recommending the approval of this resolution.
Thank you, Dr. Harkins. Any comments? Ms. Westland?
I'll just add by saying I didn't check today, but I think there are well over 80 boards passing this resolution now, and I think it's going up all the time. And I think and hope it's an important and a helpful tool to go to Frankfurt and to lobby. It'll be something we'll do over a number of years. But I think a lot of people don't realize the impact of the last several years on funding. And I heard Lieutenant Governor Abramson speak recently. A few of you were there, and he said it's great to keep the SEEK funding as level as possible, but don't let anyone tell you that's not a cut, because it is. And we've been great in Kentucky with raising expectations. We're doing new things, Common Core standards, teacher growth system, schools of innovation, all those things that are helping us do better. Funding is the next thing to support all that. So I just want to comment that this is real important. I'm glad we're doing this. Thank you very much. And I hope that we'll all support all the voices in Frankfurt for more education funding.
Okay. Other comments? Okay, is there a motion to approve the resolution? Mr. Brady, second. Ms. Westland? All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to the next agenda item is the 2013-14 agenda planning calendar. Any information for the agenda planning calendar? Mr. Jones.
Yeah, I would just like to call attention of the administrative leadership and the staff that I think on October 28th, a meeting that I missed, we had a very productive work session on the equity scorecard. I've heard nothing but positive reviews of that, how that time was spent, but that was not on the board agenda planning calendar. And I want to just raise the issue that as we look forward on this calendar, it looks like we have a horrifically boring next several months with very little of substance other than internal matters. And in fact, I think there are going to be big items coming forward. And I would just ask that, that the leadership really pay attention to how to use this tool to tell the board members what's coming. Because when we have issues, and we had a wonderful work session today on facilities planning and demographic trends, and my head is still spinning. It was a great bunch of information and a lot to take in. But when you take on things like that, equity issues, we got to come with our A game on, and if we don't know about it until the last minute, it's harder. And second, the public has a right to know that this stuff is happening, and I think that right to know extends to beyond 2 seconds notice when it finally gets posted. So I would just ask that this tool be used with more energy. Thank you.
Any other comments for the agenda planning calendar? Ms. Duncan?
Well, we used to get updates, quarterly updates on our priority schools, and I'm just wondering, are we still doing the quarterly updates to KDE, and if so, do we ever get a chance to take a look at those?
We will actually get those to you. I don't think we've been getting those to you, Ms. Duncan. Thank you for reminding us. We will get those to you.
All right, thank you.
Anything else for the planning calendar? Is there a motion to approve the planning calendar? Mr. Brady, second. Ms. Westland, all those in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
Opposed.
I'm sorry.
Opposed.
Mr. Jones is opposed to the planning calendar. I'm very sorry. Thank you. Next, we move on to the board reports and request persons to address the board on non-agenda items, and we have 3 speakers.
Are we going to do reports and requests?
Oh, yeah, I guess we should do that. Board reports and request. Ms. Duncan.
Yes. Well, I've got 4 items I'd just like to touch on. And one was...
I was speed reading, I apologize. So let's go back to board reports and request.
All righty. Mr. Brady and I attended a regional meeting of KSBA on the 29th. And at that meeting, just as a reminder to all of us that we're going to be going through ethics training and finance training every year from now on, or at least until that gets changed at the top somewhere. But somehow we must plan that into our hours of required training every year. I was at the initiation of the fire truck that was donated by Fairdale Fire Department to Fairdale High School's fire science program the other day, and what a fun experience that was. I had never known that there was such a thing as an initiation of a new truck, and of course this is not a brand new truck, but it's a very updated version that the kids will have to actually learn modern day firefighting skills with. But it was, we had a great turnout of people there to observe this, as the new fire truck, the Fairdale Fire Department had sprayed the one that they donated to the others, and the kids had soaked it down, and they sprayed the truck and the kids, and And it was just great to watch the enthusiasm of all the kids involved in that program. And Mr. Bird, Jeff Burt, is the person that runs the program at Fairdale High School and does a wonderful job and inspires the kids there. And Chief Don Wittry was there as well to MC really the donation. Then I went to Lockoff Elementary the other day, and I wore their shirt tonight. Lockoff Elementary has just had renovation. Media Center, new Media Center is not open yet, not ready yet, but I got a chance to see what's coming and the other parts of the building that were renovated. But also, I wanted to recognize Lockoff just a minute. I think they moved their score from, they were 52 on our accountability system. Their target was 53 point something, and then and what they scored was 56. So they exceeded their target and rose from 30th percentile to the 46th percentile. So I just want to recognize the work that they're doing there, and also wanted to point out an example of how the addition of an assistant principal at an elementary school really has supported achievement, and the way that we wanted and the way that we hoped that it would do. So that's one good example there. Also, tomorrow I will be, if the weather is not too bad, I'm supposed to be in Frankfurt for the School Curriculum Assessment and Accountability Council meeting, and hope to get to talk to Ken Drought a little bit about various issues. So thank you.
Okay. Mr. Brady.
I'd just like to take a moment to thank the Jefferson County Teachers Association for an invitation and opportunity to attend the Coalition of Essential Schools Conference. I was in San Francisco over the weekend. It was a really great opportunity to have some great conversations and some discussions. And the conference itself was held at Mission High School, which turns out that was where Carlos Santana and Maya Angelou graduated from. So it was interesting to see that type of facility and that type of diverse student makeup that makes up that school, and the cultures that were represented there and how they embrace that and celebrate that within the school. It was just, just wanted to say thanks for that opportunity, and it was just a really great experience overall. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Hadaway.
I want to say thanks to Heather and her team with the Coats for Kids drive that we are involved in with right now, and for getting me up at 5 a.m. to go to Krispy Kreme. That was the icing on the cake, I guess, or the donut. So, and I want to say thank you publicly to Dawn G. for being such a visible, engaged citizen and using her platform to help us out and help students in need as well at this time. Plus, I attended the Kentucky High School Athletic Association volleyball state tournament this weekend. That was at Valley High School in that gym of a gym. It's a beautiful place. And I want to say big thanks to Jerry Wyman and the athletics crew and Principal Stevenson for hosting a great event that I understand went very smoothly. And I talked to a few teams from outside of our district, and they were very impressed with the facility. So, good job.
Okay. Other comments? Mr. Jones?
I had a chance to present last week at Northern Kentucky University at the Tech Day Forum on Innovation in Education as the keynote speaker, and it was a great opportunity to review both the urgency of improving K-12 and post-secondary education and a lot of the trends that are in motion, many of which we see here and hopefully are beginning to see the benefits of. There's a lot of interest statewide, certainly in the districts of innovation, and it's also quite daunting. I will just mention, if I can be a little blunt, as a person from Louisville, to go on a campus that is spectacular in northern Kentucky, and realize the way the state funding formulas work. We got to run real fast to stay in place in this metropolitan area. it's a good thing that Kentucky is strengthening, but we got to pull real hard because a lot of the funding does not necessarily come back here. Thanks.
Okay. Other comments? I want to quickly congratulate a student from Central High School. On Saturday, I attended a fundraiser for the Louisville Visual Art Association, and in the packet that we received, they gave us a print from a student who is a senior at Central High School. Her name is Linnea Roberts. This is a dry point etching, and it's called Night Owl 3. It's very pretty, and it says that this can be framed, hung on your fridge, or even used as a postcard. So just a shout out to her and her creative abilities. That would be Linnea Roberts from Central High School. Okay, that takes care of all the board reports and requests. Now we'll move on to persons requesting to speak to the board, and there are 3 people who would like to speak to the board. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to address the board. At the end of 2.5 minutes, a bell will sound once. Then you will have 30 seconds to finish your statement. At the end of 3 minutes, the bell will sound twice, indicating that your time is up. Our first speaker is Judy Schroeder. Ms. Schroeder? Judy Schroeder? Judy Schroeder. Our next speaker is Chris Harmer. Chris Harmer. Thank you.
Chair Porter, I was here because I was afraid that the other speaker wouldn't make it back. He was traveling, and he was here with us, so I'll not speak this evening.
Okay, so then our next speaker is, are you Jason? Yes. Jason Gaines. Thank you, Mr. Gaines. Thank you for being here tonight. Welcome. You may either sit down or stand at the podium, whatever your preference is.
Hello, my name is Jason Gaines. I am an associate professor of political science at U of L with a specialty in research methods. And I was approached a couple of weeks ago by Chris to take a look at some data that had been prepared by the Division of Data Management, Planning, and Program Evaluation Services regarding the JROTC program. And essentially what he wanted me to do was examine the study for validity and to test for statistical significance. Because I understand that these data may be very important in the decision that you're going to make as to whether or not there should be a cadet academy magnet at Myers Middle School. So what I did, through an open records request, he got these data, and the report that I read frankly, doesn't stand on any valid ground. The report basically says that there's an observed increase in achievement for students who are in the JROTC program in high schools in Jefferson County. What I did was basically, whoever did the study, they just looked at percentages on the assessment test, and were able to show that about 66, I think it was, if you look at the first table there, they were able to show that 66% of non-JROTC students were proficient or distinguished on the exam, and 69% of JROTC students were distinguished or proficient, first off, it's only 3%. And second, it's not statistically significant, which means that these are based on sample data. And so that means that it's entirely possible that the number is actually the opposite direction. You cannot make that inference, period, from these data. And so then I gave it the benefit of the doubt and went ahead and kept the ordinal scale that ranged across 8 points from novice low to distinguished, and tested if there was statistical significance there for JROTC students versus non-JROTC students. None. And then if you look, I guess I'm done now, but if you look at the additional statistics and the limitations of the study, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, if you're making your decision based on that this program is going to increase achievement, you have no evidence to suggest that's the case. If it's for some other reason, then okay, but...
Thank you. I don't mean to interrupt.
That's fine.
But you are at the end of the 3 minutes, so thank you for being here. Thank you for the information.
Okay. Thank you.
Dr. Hargens will receive the information and have our staff look at it as well, so thank you so much for being here. That completes our speakers for tonight. There is no executive session scheduled. Is there a motion for adjournment? Ms. Haddad, seconded. Mr. Brady, all those in favor? It's unanimous. We are adjourned. Thank you so much.
We are unanimous. That's right. It was the apple.